Selling your house in 2024. Should you do it? When should you do it? Who should you work with? How do you buy and sell in the same market? What is your home worth in the current market? Spoiler alert, probably not as much as you think. It's really complex in today's real estate market terrain. Gone are the days of buyers bending over backwards, throwing in offers well over asking price, waiving conditions, being willing to compete at the drop of a hat. Those days are gone for now anyways. Today I'm going to be breaking down 3 things that you should be thinking about if you are considering trying to sell your home successfully in 2024. But first, a little bit about me. I'm Ainsley Gower, a local real estate agent here in Victoria, BC. When working with sellers, my emphasis is on marketing excellence, maximizing visibility, and showcasing your home impeccably. My focus is always on how to maximize your return. Selling your home isn't just about listing. It's about strategy. Understanding the trends and dynamics is key. Let's explore the secrets to positioning your property strategically for a super successful sale in 2024. Number 1 is pricing strategy. So pricing right now and also likely in 2024 is going to be critical. Pricing is always critical, but right now with the current climate of our real estate market, it is more crucial than ever. I would say the majority, not all, but the majority of sellers who are not having success in the current market and who are doing multiple price reductions are more often than not sellers that are testing the ceiling price of the market right now, or sellers who are perhaps trying to set record sales in the current market we're in. Buyers have a very different mindset right now, and they're really looking for value. And if you're pricing way above market value, then your property is likely going to sit longer, need multiple price reductions. That could end up hurting your bottom line in the long run. Unfortunately, it's really easy to believe that your home is worth more than it is in the current market. I think because of all of these news articles and social media articles that have been flying around the last couple of years about properties selling for way over asking and getting multiple offers, that even though we're in a different market now, that some of those headline articles are still kind of ingrained in people's brains, and we're in a different market now. It's shifted significantly. Interest rates have shifted. The increase in interest rates, we really are starting to see that catch up to the market and really start to impact buyers' purchasing power. People are feeling uncertain about the market right now, and it's very hard to predict what will happen as we move into 2024. I do think it is largely dependent on what happens with interest rates. If interest rates come back down, we could see an influx, or we'd likely see an influx, I think, in activity in the marketplace. But if interest rates hold steady or if they increase, I think we're gonna see even more shifts in the market than we already have. Essentially, our market here, just like any other market in the world, is always fluctuating slightly, which is why it's really important to just work with somebody who really has their finger on the pulse. Elevating your home's interior can significantly impact its appeal when it comes time to sell. Now, that being said, you don't want to necessarily just go ahead and upgrade and update everything in your house, because you want to be very conscientious about return on your investment. It can be very subjective when you're going to sell to be able to calculate, per se, if you're actually getting your money back on what you've put into your house. There's kind of 2 different ways to think about it. If you're a homeowner and you're living in a house and you've been in a house for a number of years and you're doing some of these updates and upgrades to the home to make it more livable for you and your family, or you and your partner, or just you yourself and you to live and to thrive, well, then that's great. You should definitely go ahead and make that space as comfortable for yourself and enjoyable for yourself as you can for the duration of your time there. And then hopefully you'll get that return on investment when you go to sell. But if you are someone who's purely considering doing these updates and upgrades to sell, to get your money back on what you're putting into it, You want to be really careful with that, because sometimes people do big renovations and the buyers on the other side don't necessarily see the value in that, because maybe they would have designed the kitchen differently, or maybe they actually want to take the wall down in the kitchen, or maybe they want to move a bathroom. So that value to them isn't necessarily going to be there, and it can get very subjective as to whether or not it's actually going to add value to the house. So I like to always talk through things with my clients in a very matter-of-fact way of what are some small things that we can kind of do here to really maximize your return on investment. And hands down, the easiest way and cheapest way that you can maximize your return on investment, I think, is with paint. Prior to listing, you're going to want to address any deferred maintenance that you've had on the home, because most buyers in the market these days are going to have a home inspection, and the home inspector is going to highlight any deferred maintenance that has been happening on the home. Or not happening, I guess I should say. I made a little list of some deferred maintenance items that you should consider addressing before listing, but always best to chat to your realtor to get their opinion on items that you should consider addressing, because it really depends on your home and what market of buyers that you're going to be appealing to. Sometimes, again, with these repairs, you may not see your money come out of it or your return on investment on the other side. So one thing is roof repairs. If your roof is leaking, you probably want to address that before listing. If you have any plumbing issues, any leaks, any dripping faucets, issues with your water heater, those are things to likely address before listing. Any issues with your electrical systems, like faulty outlets or wiring issues or circuit problems. If your home does have a more significant issue, like a structural issue, that could also just be factored into the price of what you choose to list your home at. But you'll want to get any exterior maintenance done. Curb appeal is very important. Repairing cracked driveways. You'll want to repair any broken windows and doors, and ensure all your doors and windows open and close properly. Paint and finishes. So repainting any chipped or faded walls, refreshing the finishes can make a big difference in the overall look of your home. You'll also want to thoroughly clean your home. A deep clean is really essential. It helps demonstrate to buyers that the home has been well maintained. Another thing to consider when preparing your home to sell is to depersonalize it and potentially stage it. Now, there's a lot of articles out there everywhere that say that you should 100% depersonalize your home prior to listing. Now, I can be a little bit on the fence with this one sometimes. While I agree with it as a general statement, it is good to depersonalize your space to help buyers envision themselves in your home. But sometimes if people depersonalize their space too much, it means that there's a whole lot of blank spaces in the home. And if someone isn't wanting to stage the home, I sometimes find that having a few family photos around the place isn't the worst thing in the world when it comes to listing your home. I actually find sometimes if I'm working with first-time home buyers who are starting a family, and we go and say we view this cute little townhouse and they've got all of these cute family photos in the space, I actually think that that helps my buyers envision themselves in that space. Sure, these people have their personal photos and stuff on the wall, but they're showing to my clients that a happy family with a child lives in this home, and that is what my clients are seeking. So I do find sometimes it can actually work in your favor. I will go against the grain and put my mark on that, but it's really gonna be product specific, location specific, price point specific. So it's really, again, just having that conversation with your agent to get their opinion on it. When it comes to staging, staging has not really played a very huge role in our market here in Victoria over the last couple of years. When the market was very, very hot, people could just throw listings up in the worst conditions. It was a great market for people to offload some less desirable, unique properties. And staging often wasn't really required to sell your home because your property would likely go for a great price really quickly, regardless of whether or not you spent the money on staging. But the market's different now, and I think that staging can be really, really helpful for certain properties. Sometimes staging is actually really more about what to take away than what to add, but it's definitely sometimes worth it at the end of the day to make a few dollars of investment into that to reap the rewards on the other end of it. Number 3 is marketing magic. And this is my favorite topic because I love marketing, love marketing. Listing videos, high quality photography, floor plans are all really crucial elements in your marketing strategy. When these items are done right, they are highly impactful. Let's talk a little bit more about listing videos. In today's digital age, listing videos have become a more powerful marketing tool. A well-made listing video can really showcase your property in a very dynamic and engaging way online, because that is where buyers are these days, is on digital platforms. High quality photography is imperative in grabbing the attention of consumers. We have seen an increase in listings over the course of this year. We now have way more listings at this time this year than we did last year, which is great for buyers, but it's not so great for sellers because you have more competition out there. And so in order to stand out from the competition, your photos need to look amazing. And I'm not going to toot my own horn, because I'm not the one that takes the photos, but I work with the best real estate photography, videography team in town, Spartan Media. They are incredible and do super high quality work. And floor plans are also obviously very important because buyers can get a much truer sense of the space. Combining these elements along with a number of other elements is all part of creating an effective marketing strategy. Number 4 is timing. When are you going to sell your house? I think the best short answer to that question would be when you need to, but ultimately you can't really time the market. And by timing the market, it's kind of looking out to be like, oh, if I wait 6 months, then I'll be able to get this much more for my house, or the market's gonna go up, or the market's gonna go down, like speculating like that. That's very challenging to do, and most people will not be able to do that. So I always encourage people to sell when they need to. It has been historically proven here in Victoria that we have a very active spring market. So moving into the spring, that is typically when we see the most amount of buyers out shopping. And that is when we typically see the most amount of new listings come to hit the market. So a lot of people aim for the spring to sell because that's often when properties look the best and when there's the most traffic. So if you have a house, an older home, in the springtime, your garden's probably gonna look really lovely. Your house may not feel as drafty. Maybe some of those like cold, mildewy smells in your home have dried up a little bit. So the spring is a very popular time to sell. That being said, if you're selling in the spring, yes, there's more buyers that are out there shopping, but there's also going to be likely more competition that you're facing. So there can really be pros and cons to selling at any time of the year, depending on what area you're in, depending on what type of product you have to sell, depending on what the current market climate is like. So I don't think you necessarily have to wait for the spring. It's kind of just looking at what your goals are. More about really working with a professional who dives into what your goals and your personal circumstances really are, and then helps you develop a strategy for when selling would best suit you. Number 5 is the last point that I'm going to discuss, which is how do you buy and sell in the same market? Now, this topic really deserves a video well and truly on its own, and it's one that I actually don't want to make a whole video for because it is complicated and there are so many idiosyncrasies that go into that are based on everybody's really unique situation. But there are a couple of different approaches, the main ones that I would talk about. And that if you are looking to buy and sell in the same market, the main way to do that is to write an offer on what you'd like to purchase that is subject to the sale of your existing home. That's a very straightforward way to do that. It's just that when you're writing an offer on something else that's subject to the sale of your existing home, your offer tends to need to be very strong financially because it's kind of weaker in other terms because you have this contingency that you need to sell your existing home. The other approach, which I'm starting to talk to some of my clients about a little more recently with this slowdown we've seen in the market, because some sellers don't like to see a buyer submit a subject to sale offer. It makes them a little bit nervous. Is that buyer's house going to sell? They just maybe don't want to work with them. And in those circumstances, it is possible to list your house and to see what happens. And if you get an offer, the offer you get, we could add a clause that would say subject to the seller securing another house or a certain property that you've got your eyes on. So there's two ways to really go about that, but it's really about thinking creatively, strategically, innovatively, utilizing your unique situation, and then kind of figuring out where the market's at and what the best approach to take is going to be. So I hope you found that video helpful. If you are thinking about selling in 2024, I would love to dive into some of these topics we discussed today in more depth with you, because now is really the time to be thinking about a lot of these things if you're planning to sell next year. And if you are planning to sell, I'm here. I would love to help you, and I would love to be the one to help you cross that finish line and reach your goals. And yeah, thanks. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your continued support.